Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Esmeralda Mandujano. Thank you for being with us in this WRASAP Network quarterly meeting for the month of August. Today, we're going to have a discussion on farm stress efforts in our communities. And Clinton Wilson from AgWell and myself will be leading those discussions. So more than having presentation type of style that we've been doing, we want to get some conversations across different regions and just across different questions that we have prepared for you. So again, my name is Esmeralda Mandujano, and I work at the University of California, Davis for the California AgriBiology Program, and I am a partner with the Western Regional Agricultural Assistance Program. One of our duties is to host this network quarterly meetings for the network. These meetings are open to the public, so you're always welcome to invite other colleagues that want to learn about some of the efforts that we're leading to reduce farm stress in the West. And really just anybody interested, farmers, farm workers that are interested in the topics. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of background on WRASAP, and then I'll go on and give a little bit of more background on Clinton and a little bit more about me before we go on to the discussions. So the mission of WRASAP is to reduce farm stress, and WRASAP is a program that is funded by the USDA, by the United States Department of Agriculture under the Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network. This grant establishes regional networks that connect agricultural producers. That includes farmers, ranchers, farm workers, and others in agricultural related occupations. And we connect them to resources to assist them in times of stress. Another goal of the network is also to educate other professionals that are working with farmers and farm workers to help them understand that farm stress is something that's very real, and it affects farmers and farm workers. There are 4 of these programs across the United States, and for our region in the West, we have 13 states and 4 territories. Some of our efforts in the West include a clearinghouse, incorporating more and more resources that we become aware of into this clearinghouse. The clearinghouse is available on farmstress.us. More recently, we have more of an interactive map, so it becomes easier to find those resources. So people can find the resources by clicking on the region, their states, down into their county areas. We also have a small grants program, and through that small grants program, we have been able to fund smaller programs that are directed to address farm stress in communities and smaller communities, and also to trial out other things that need to be done as the project runs. We've incorporated call staff from Farm Aid into Hours of the West, and then the other part is connecting the network, which is what we're here for today. So these are just the 13 states in our region that we cover in the 4 territories. So these are just some of our partners that are currently active and working on different efforts across the West. So the goal of this networking meetings is to bring stakeholders together and for them to be able to build connections and collaborations to assist agricultural producers in times of stress. We learn a lot from each other, so it is very important for us to continue to connect in different modalities. Another one is to improve behavioral health awareness, literacy, and outcomes for agricultural producers, their families, and communities. And collaborators have an opportunity to present their efforts and offer opportunities to pose questions and bring experiences to the table. This meeting is open to the public and external partners. So as always, you're welcome to invite anybody to join these. Our agenda for today is we'll start with our introductions, then we'll go into breakout sessions. We have a couple questions for each of these, and then we'll end up closing. We are going to put up right now a networking poll. This is just so that we have a list of who is here, what your roles are, and then if you do decide to fill out the networking poll, we will share this out along with the recording. And this is just in case somebody wants to reach out to you later on regarding something that talk about in the meeting or just really a way to have people connect. We'll take a minute to fill that out now.
And if you want to put where the organization or agency is, also what your role is within that organization and agency, that might be helpful for folks if they want to reach out with specific questions.
Thanks, Clinton. That's a great observation.
Sure.
So 3 quick questions filled out. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about myself already, and I think a lot of you guys already know me, but just one other thing is that I am very, very happy to do this kind of work. I'm very passionate about agricultural worker health and safety, and this is just something that I feel very privileged to work on. I did grow up in California. I migrated a lot, but I just kind of stayed in the same area. So that's a little bit of my background. For Clinton, he is with AgWell, and Clinton is originally from Seattle. Clinton spent most of his career working for social service nonprofits in the Pacific Northwest, and in 2017, he and his family relocated to Colorado, where he spent the last 4 years working with farmers and ranchers as the executive director of Hodder Valley Community Farms, a farmland cooperative based in Fort Collins. Now the program director for AgWell, his goal is to build more connected, community-focused, collaborative, and a robust support system for the agricultural community in the Rocky Mountain region. And also, Clinton, anything else you'd like to share about yourself?
No, other than, it's a big privilege to get to work together with Esme on this networking because she is so connected and passionate about this work and has such great experience working with farm workers. And as she and I were talking, this kind of launched because we know that so many of you have rich stories that have brought you to this work as well and wanted to give people the opportunity to dive in a little bit further. So the goal for today is really for you to get to know 3 other folks that are on this call. We're going to break up into breakout sessions and we're going to give you some prompts, but I really want to encourage you to just lean in with curiosity and get to know each other, the programs that they're running, and share stories. Stories are so rich and they really connect us to this work and to each other. So that's kind of my prompt, and with that, let's jump in.
Okay, so this is just our title. So for our first breakout, we'll like you to do our usual introductions, which would be name, agency, role, anything else you'd like to share about yourself, and share about your programs and success stories for reducing farm stress in your area. Also, what motivates you to reduce stress in agriculture. And Angelina is going to break us into the breakout rooms.
And
So sharing about your programs.
You're going to have about 10 minutes. So if you get through these questions, again, lean into curiosity and really get to know each other and ask about what programs and stories have really risen up for success in each of your different areas and organizations.
So we're looking for your programs, your success stories, what motivates you. And I always like to throw in there the question of challenge too, because I think we're often sharing about successes, but our successes really come from a lot of challenges in order to get there. So I feel like I learn a lot from the challenges too. So if you'd like to share about those, I think that will be very enriching.
And the last thing before you go into your breakout, we are going to come back together and discuss as a group. So kind of make notes as you're listening and sharing on things that stand out that you feel like would be valuable for the rest of the group to hear and take away as well. So with that, let's break into breakouts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back from your first breakout. I hope you guys had great conversations. I know I did. I had a great conversation with Norma. I learned some new things about even the stressors in agriculture that we sometimes don't think about, and it's important to have these conversations because that's where we learn about them. Would any of you guys like to share about your group, something that you learned in your group, or even your own answers to these questions? Is Clinton back?
I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
So this is Jenny, and I am a latecomer. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
I live up here on the mountain area, so sometimes it's not real good. But anyway, I joined a breakout room, and I got in on the very tail end where she was talking about joining TikTok. Some members of her group wanted to join TikTok, and she didn't really care to do that. But the members said, well, that's what we like, and we want to work with that. And so they did, they joined it, and it was a team collaboration. And I feel exactly the way she does. I have not joined TikTok. I I just have not. But I like the idea that they reached different people, different age groups, different everything. I do like that. And that's kind of my goal. And I figure it's your goal too, is to reach whoever you can, wherever you can. So I did like that couple minutes that I joined in and heard that. It's given me a new perspective on joining TikTok.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jenny. That's great. It is important for us to stretch out of our comfort zones. I'm not a social media person either, but I do think that there's some good opportunity to reach out on TikTok. We were in Washington a couple of weeks ago, and there were a couple of folks up there that were talking about TikTok promotions, and I was like, not there yet, but maybe. Who else learned something that they would want to share, a story that was inspiring or a program that they were excited to learn more about?
So I can go real quick. One of the things I learned was that there was not enough time to go through the questions and give that the depth that they need. But we got to meet Adriana, who's with the Center for Community Advocacy, doing some really nice work with farm workers throughout the region in California. So that was really neat to see. And then I had Lori Mercer and Beth also, both of them from WRASAP. So I happen to know both of them. So good to see their faces.
Thanks, Chad. Anybody else have any stories? Thanks for plugging that TikTok link, Whitney.
Hold on. Forget, I can't go explore because I'm sharing my slides. I would like to share what I heard. Oh, I guess that's the TikTok, right? Let me get up. That's just to prove that I actually follow up on anything that you guys put on the chat. So I'm looking, I'm learning. I had a conversation with Norma. She's in the Salinas Valley in California, and some of what drives her, what motivates her to reduce farm stress, and what I heard her speak, and correct me if I'm wrong, Norma, or fill me in, is that the children in the Salinas Valley, it's very, very expensive to live there. Salinas Valley also had some of the highest labor-intensive crops in agriculture. Think of strawberries, think of lettuce, probably strawberries or lettuce that you have bought at the grocery store has come from the Salinas Valley. And it's rents are super, super expensive because that's also where Monterey is, where Carmel Valley, so all of those very spiffy areas. And a lot of farm workers live multiple families in one apartment building. And what really struck me is that she talked about the children. the stress that that can bring onto the children, because the children of farm workers don't necessarily have a place where they can go home and do their homework. And I remember that kind of brought me back a few years ago when COVID started. And I think it was also in the Salinas Valley where this picture was taken. They showed a few children at McDonald's trying to get Wi-Fi in order to do their homework. So I think in at least in my role, I'm always working with adults, and I don't often focus too much on the children, but it is with Norma's testimony, it was something that for me, I learned that I need to also pay attention to that part of the life of the farm worker. So that was really interesting. And Norma is a promotora in the community. So that was really interesting for me. Thank you, Norma, for sharing.
Esme, do you remember the name of the documentary that we learned about that focused on the farm worker children?
No, but I know there's like a whole campaign called Children in the Fields campaign.
Okay. Yeah, definitely an overlooked population, and one that's inspiring to do this work so that we can make sure that they are cared for.
So in my group, we were talking about different resources. I don't know that we had any solutions yet. But it was mentioned that University of Nevada at Reno is doing a video series. So is University of Idaho, and I'll stick the last video that we've done in the chat for people to look at. I'm a little hesitant to post it, and if you click on the link, you'll see why. Because the farmer being interviewed, and it's me. But it's talk about farm stress, things that farmers go through. But I think the biggest thing is we need to get over the inhibition of being afraid to talk about farm stress, and that people will look down on you because you're not tough enough or whatever. It's the whole stigma thing. We just need to reduce stigma. And I think that's one of the bigger things. So anyway, that's one of the things we're doing here in Idaho to try and reduce stigma.
Awesome, David. We definitely need courageous farmers that are willing to admit that all farmers are not superheroes, and that they just play them when they're out in the fields, but that they're human most of the time. And we're really grateful for your work and for your courage to post that. I'd love to keep going on this, because I wish that I could be in a group with all of you, but we do have limited time, like Chad said. So we're going to jump into our second breakout group. And I can't remember, Esme, if we decided to leave people in the same group since they already knew each other, did we?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll be with the same people. And this next conversation, you should have about 2 to 3 minutes apiece to share, depending on who's in there. But we wanted you to discuss efforts that either you're currently working on or that you'd like to see in your program or in your community. And then also possibly share about any programs that you have learned about or that you've seen in other communities that you'd like to try to incorporate, or you think that could really benefit the work of WRASAP. So again, just leaning into the networking, learning from each other, learning who each other is, and also creating opportunities so that when we're done here, we'll send out that list of folks if you want to reach out and learn more about programs and how you can collaborate. So on this one, you'll have 10 minutes again. Really lean in, take advantage of the time, and then we'll come back and discuss afterwards. But take a look at these pictures, maybe take a screenshot of it, because I realized when we were in the breakout rooms that I couldn't remember exactly what the questions were.
And we should, Angelina's broadcasting them into the rooms, so you should be getting them.
Perfect. All right, see you guys in 10 minutes.
Oh, great. I think everyone's back now.
Awesome.
I think we just got deeper into our conversation from this
I
point.
know. I agree with Chad. There just wasn't enough time. I got partnered with James from American Samoa, and I know nothing about American Samoa, and this has been so informative for me. I've been so grateful for his willingness to share all about their culture and community and what's going on in agriculture out there, and realize Man, the stresses are so different all around the world. They do all of their cultivation on American Samoa by human work. They don't have tractors, machines, horses. It's all by hand, and it's just like been wild to listen to. So if James, if you're willing to put your information in, I'd love for people to learn more about what's going on with Extension there. Anybody want to share about what they learned as far as programs that are going on in other people's communities, or that you learned that was going on in your community that you want to share about, or a program you're working on? Don't be bashful. We've only got about 10 minutes, so speak up.
Everyone got shy. I'm pretty sure everybody was talking a lot in their groups.
I'll start calling on people. I saw Don come off mute. Don, were you going to share something?
Oh yeah, we just had a fabulous discussion with Lori from Farm Aid and Chad Rezenchik from Colorado State and Adriana from California, and just discussing all the various options that are available out there for various communities and farm stress suicide prevention. I'll hop on with mine, which is Pizza for Producers. It's something that we created here at WSU Skagit County Extension to get farmers and farm workers together and discussing farm stress suicide prevention without having a particular agenda in mind. And we do have the website that's gone live now. I'll put that in the chat as well as the Facebook site. And so if you're interested in hosting a Pizza for Producer event in your community, we'd love to help you facilitate that. And we're also hosting one here at WSU Skagit County Extension on October 17th. And everyone is welcome to partake in that. And if you're looking for funding to be able to join us, we do have funding available through the mini grant process, and I'll put that in the link as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Don.
I really like to share what I talked about with Norma in our breakout room. We talked about kind of continuing on the housing, and we talked about how housing could be so expensive, especially in the topic of farm workers. They don't work year round, so they have to manage all of their money that they gain in like 8 months to spread it out to last them 12 months. And in terms of efforts in other communities, we kind of referenced Half Moon Bay is developing a new, I think it's Half Moon Bay. They're developing a new housing center for farm workers. But it really came out of a tragedy of a homicide a multiple homicide that occurred in one of the farms that was very public I want to say a couple of years ago. And kind of coming to that realization that sometimes some of these programs that come because of a tragedy, and that it should come out of like an identified need. We don't necessarily have to wait for a tragedy to happen. But yeah, we continue to talk about housing and how some of these families are, when I knew that families were sharing homes, but I didn't know that like that it can be up to like 4 or 5 families in a 5-bedroom home, everybody paying $1,200. So it's something that Norma is working on to try to help people get housing. And I mean, I was just very, very motivated by what she was sharing with me and how much she's working to educate people also around finances and helping their money kind of last that whole year. So again, thank you, Norma, for sharing. That was very powerful.
And just to follow up on your talk earlier, Esme, the movie that you and I had talked about, the documentary, it's called The Harvest. If you want to get a better look at the experience of farm workers' children's The Harvest, it was a documentary from 2010. We got time for a couple more folks to share about programming that they learned or programming that they're bringing into their communities.
Share one of the things that we talked about wanting was incorporating some of the mindfulness stuff that like a year ago Elena did one of our meetings and she led us in mindfulness activities, and she does that with workers. And we've been in other situations where practicing mindfulness, even like 10-15 minutes, helps reset the day. So I was talking in the context of what I do of helping employers think about how they can introduce like a daily huddle and incorporate some of those activities to help people get ready for the day, enhance well-being, enhance safety overall, and make people feel happy and good and proud about the work they do, and feel engaged in the work they do. So that's like a dream I think that we would like to see.
I love it. Thanks for casting that vision for all of us, Whitney. And I'm going to lean in on any of you Farm Aid folks that might want to share about any programming that you've heard about recently. Lori, you just shared one with me about a counseling program with graduate students that are available in a number of states. Any programs that anybody wants to highlight?
I think, gosh, there's so many, there's a lot of great programs coming out, and I just wanted to reiterate for the larger group too that the Farm Aid Hotline can really help people on a one-on-one basis. If you or if a farmer or farm worker that you're working with has a particular need, we can speak to that person or speak to you and try to come up with a personalized list of resources that are really kind of honed in on that person's need and their physical location, their geographical location, because there's so much out there, whether it's on a national level or on a like very, very local level, that there's kind of a vast world, and it can be hard to navigate as an individual farmer, an individual person trying to find whatever they might need to address their challenges. So the hotline is here and ready to help people kind of regardless of where they are, and we try to track as many great programs as possible. So there's just like so many to share that we're always happy to help people on a one-on-one basis. I'm trying to think of some like broad Western region specific resources that I'd like to share, but in general, I wanted to plug the hotline for whatever you need.
Awesome, Ashley. Thanks. And that's 1-800-FARM-AID. Yeah.
And along that, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that on our, I'll put the link in the chat here too, but we have a way for folks to request support online as well. So if you or if who you're working with would prefer to submit online versus talking to a person, if that's a little bit more approachable, there's that option as well. So I'll put that in the chat so you can find us that way as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I guess I'd also add that, you know, we've started incorporating Spanish resources, Spanish speaking operator, our online directory is in Spanish, but it's been a slow start in terms of calls, people accessing that service, and farm workers as well. And that's an area that we would really love to collaborate with anybody about how to make that more culturally welcoming, whatever we need to be thinking about for that to be a more effective outreach for Latinx populations and farm workers. We'd love to have those conversations if anybody wants to reach out.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. And Don, I'm going to throw you or Alan or somebody from the Skagit office on the spot around the map that's coming out that's showing programs around the Western region. Is that something that is accessible now or soon?
Yeah, it's actually live. So go to the home site here, and I can hopefully bring it up for you. Keep chatting.
Well, we're going to round it up and start making announcements, but I wanted to be sure that people knew about that resource, because I feel like as far as this networking call, it really is a cool new one that people can find out what other programs are doing and where programs are.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'm sharing screen. You can go to farmstress.us on the home site, page down, and then once you get here, you can click on any state and it will bring up resources for you. Let's go to California where Esme's at. So a whole host of resources that are available. And the next phase of this mapping project is there's going to be a search category by zip code. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you find something that you're curious about, reach out. Esme, this after this call, you'll send out a recording and you'll send out the list of folks that filled out the survey at the beginning if people want to connect.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as announcements go, I'm going to make these announcements since Esme is saving her voice for the end. Just continuing QPR classes that are offered by, is it Oregon?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. And there's one more August 28th that's on this schedule in English and August 22nd in Spanish. So be sure to join those if you haven't taken QPR or you just would like a refresher. Free community health seminar for anybody who's out in Guam right now. It is August 24th, 1 to 4. And Pizza for Producers, a little flyer about what Don was talking about. Everybody's welcome to come out to Skagit County in Washington for a kickoff of WRASAP 4 and a Pizza for Producers for the Washington Skagit Valley area. And maybe one more announcement, Esme.
Yep. So the another one is the AgriBility Regional Workshop that is taking place with our partners in Guam. That will be in October 28th through the 31st. And it will be about building resilient farming communities in Micronesia. This is an AgriBility workshop, but again, it's in a region. And then this one is in Spanish. This is an event that's going to happen in California on September 7th. It's a community gathering. The flyer's in Spanish because the event is in Spanish. And we're going to have folks from the Department of Wage and Labor come and have a quick introduction and then have a dialogue with farmers, farm workers, and community leaders. This is going to be a very interactive workshop, and we do one of these at least once a year. And the reason why we chose to have Department of Labor is because there's a lot of stress around labor wages, sometimes people not getting paid. So it's important to have somebody that can answer those hard questions for farm workers. Any additional comments? We're also going to pop in here the poll in case you didn't join early on. So what we're doing with this poll is we're just collecting people's informations, their role, so that we can share it out with the group after this networking meeting. It'll come along with the recording of the meeting. So you'll see it pop up.
And I'll definitely plug for the networking aspect. If you're able to make it up to Washington, Don has made that broad invitation for folks. We'd love to collaborate and meet as many folks that are doing this work across the Western region as we can. And there's also a conference in Guam that Esme talked about. If you're able to make it out there, I know that they've got amazing program going on in October. So in person is great if we can do it, but this was awesome. It's so good to see so many familiar, friendly faces on this call, and I'm glad we got to dig a little bit deeper and get to know each other a little bit better. Next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October the 10th, and Tao Lee from Hawaii will be talking with us. If you don't know Tao, she is just full of energy and really excited about the work she's doing out with her Seeds of Wellbeing program. So it should be a great opportunity to reconnect with some of us and also learn about the awesome peer program that Tao has created out in Hawaii. Yep. So anything else, Esme?
No, it's just, I know we've kind of rushed through a lot of information because there's always so many resources because our region is so vast, so diverse, so many different programs, so many different announcements, but you can find all of this information under farmstress.us. And as usual, thank you so much for joining us. I think having these conversations, even though we're so far apart, but we're working towards the same mission, is very, very important. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And I hope to eventually meet you in other areas or in other projects or in another network quarterly meeting. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. We really are working together to make an impact to improve the lives of farmers, farm workers, and reduce farm stress. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.